Good afternoon. Welcome to this special meeting of the City of Los Angeles Board of Public Works for Friday, February 19th, 2021. Hope everyone is doing well. We have a substantive agenda, so buckle up. Dr. Campos, do we have quorum?
Thank you, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, establishing roll call and quorum for today. We have President Good, we have Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Villegas and Caloza. President Good, you do have a quorum. For the record, all commissioners are dialing in remotely from home. I am dialing in remotely from my City Hall office. We are also joined by our General Counsel, Mr. Ted Jordan, I believe in black and white, if I see that correctly. But he is there with us. Mr. President, we do have one caller on the line under general public comment. We also have commentary on item number 5, 11, and 16 for today's special agenda. We also have the contractor from Geronimo, Mr. Richard Lopez, on item number 7, should your board have any questions for him as well. So again, 5, 11, and 16, plus public comments.
So why don't we go ahead and handle or have general public comment for now, and then we'll these specific item ones we'll take as we get to the items.
Great, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. President. We'll go ahead and take public comments at this time. Dr. Tom Williams, caller ending in 682. Can you please unmute your microphone by pressing *6? You'll be given 2 minutes to speak under general public comment.
My general public comment, Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council in El Sereno. Basic problem between City of Los Angeles and City of South Pasadena, who approved a project in the City of Los Angeles on Wednesday night, with objections and may be taken to court. But the basic problem is that the South Pasadena City has authorized construction within the City of Los Angeles, and specifically connection to Lowell Avenue in El Sereno, without any consideration or a memorandum of agreement with the City of Los Angeles regarding the Bureau of Engineering reviewing and approving the drawings that they provided, even though it requires the demolition of city sidewalks and private property sidewalks. It's a real problem. I have included in written general public comments a request for all documents of the Bureau of Engineering, and they specify the B permit supervisor for anything dealing with the City of South Pasadena. It's wrong, and it was approved by the City of South Pasadena, and the contractor can proceed. So we're quite concerned about DOE being involved in this, and the fact that it didn't come through the Board of Public Works. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Dr. Williams.
Mr. President, that clears the desk, or that clears the queue for public comments.
All right. So let's jump into our agenda, folks. Item number one is approval of the minutes from Friday, February 5th, 2021. Do I have a second to my motion to approve?
Second.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Do I hear any objections or concerns? Vice President Garcia, Commissioners Villegas or Caloza?
None for me.
All right. Hearing no objections, the minutes from Friday, February 5th, 2021 are adopted and approved forthwith. That brings us to item number 2. Item number 2 is in CD7. This is a task order solicitation number 050B, Kimberly Horn and Associates, Inc. Pre-qualified on-call consultants list, Telfair Avenue multimodal bridge over Pacoima Wash project, recommending the board authorize the city engineer to issue TOS to Kimberly Horn and Associates, Inc. from the pre-qualified on-call design and support services consultants list to provide plans, specifications, and estimate package for the Telfair Avenue multimodal bridge over Pacoima Wash project as stated in the task order solicitation number 050B with a budget authority of $580,000, which includes contingency. My hunch is that Ms. Lau is with us on this item. I see her there. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, President Good. Shirley Lau with the Bureau of Engineering Bridge Improvement Division. The Telfair Avenue multimodal bridge is located in the East San Fernando Valley, and it will provide increased public safety and non-motorized accessibility by constructing a new pedestrian and bicycle bridge where Telfair Avenue meets with the Pacoima Wash. This project will provide direct access to a future El Dorado Park and will connect the two communities on either side of the wash. This report before you today is requesting authority to issue the task force solicitation number 050B to Kimberly Horn and Associates from the Bridge and Civil Engineering Pre-Qualified On-Call Consultants list. The project is currently at 40% design complete, and the purpose of this task is to finalize the environmental document clearance and also prepare the construction document so we can go to bid and award. BOE solicited cost proposals from all 30 of the pre-qualified on-call firms, and Kimberly Horn was the only firm that responded to this task. BOE staff also reviewed the proposal, qualifications, and experience of this firm and determined that Kimberly Horn demonstrated a comprehensive understanding of the project, and the proposed scope included all of our requested services. We did request an explanation from other firms why they did not propose on this task order, and some firms stated lack of familiarity with the scope, and they did not have the right team to propose, and also insufficient time because they were also proposing on other BOE projects. So all of this has been documented, and we have it in our project files. BOE recommends acceptance of Kimberly Horn's negotiated proposal in the amount of $566,342. We have a contingency of $13,658, so the total budget authority is $580,000. This is funded by Measure M Local Return Special Fund. While no federal funds are involved in this phase of the work, however, the city applied for federal funds for the construction of the bridge. So the bridge civil engineering pre-qualified list is used, and so that follows the U.S. Department of Transportation requirements for disadvantaged business enterprise. So the city has set the goal at 8% for this task, but Kimberly Horn pledged 22.57% for the DBE participation. There is no fiscal impact to the general fund because this project is funded with Measure M local return. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Shirley. Appreciate that very much. Colleagues, let's open it up for questions. Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. Good afternoon, everyone. Shirley, thank you for your report. I do not have any questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you. I don't have any questions either. I really like this project. I appreciate your report, Shirley. Thanks.
Thank you, Teresa. Commissioner or President Pro Tem Davis.
No questions for me at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. And then Commissioner Colosa.
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any questions for Ms. Lau, but do appreciate kind of the forward-looking planning that BOE has done to use the federal on-call list for this, knowing that we will hopefully be getting some federal funding for the construction phase. So looking forward to seeing how this one unfolds, but that's it from me. Thank you, Ms. Lau.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Ditto, Ms. Lau. This is a really cool project. So, and I agree. I think that on-call list makes sense. So, I'm very supportive. So, do I have a motion to move the item forward? This would, by the way, no. Do I have a motion to move the item forward, subject or as amended, subject to the mayor's cost containment process, which it will be?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I got Vice President Garcia moving, seconded by President Pro Tem Davis. Any concerns or objections, Commissioner Closer or Villegas?
None for me, thank you.
All right. So hearing no objections, the item is adopted forthwith. Thank you very much, Ms. Lau. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, folks, let's move, and I see Uri Jimenez with us, to item number 3. Item number 3 is property acquisition, 9376 West Reed Crest Drive. Difficult access reaches 05 Hollywood Wilshire Planning Area right-of-way number 33976 project. Rolls right off the tongue. This item is recommending that we, 1, authorize the city engineer or his designee to acquire a permanent sanitary sewer easement affecting real property located at 9376 West Reed Crest Drive, Los Angeles, California 90210, also known as Assessor's Parcel Number 4352-012-019, as required for the completion of the difficult access reaches 05 Hollywood Wilshire Planning Area project. 2, authorize the city engineer or his designee to execute all necessary documents to effect this transaction as required for the purchase of a portion of the property. And 3, authorize the city engineer or his designee to request the director of the Office of Accounting to withdraw the necessary demand in the amount of $26,200 payable to Ron Manis Trust owner to cover the cost of acquiring a permanent sanitary sewer easement needed for the project. Mr. Jimenez, are you here on this item?
Yes, sir.
Good to see you.
Greetings. Good to see you and the rest of the team. Udi Jimenez, Bureau of Engineering, Chief Real Estate Officer. And we're here to ask the board to approve the purchase of a permanent sanitary sewer easement that is part of the DAR program. The DAR program is a difficult to access reaches, and part of the reason that they're difficult to access is, 1, topography or access. Sometimes there's improvements on or around the sewers that need to be either replaced or repaired. And this property in particular is north of Beverly Hills in a hilly area. And as you can imagine, sewer pipes go straight and streets curve throughout the area. So it's not uncommon for the city to need additional easements for pipes that are either going to be reintroduced in the area or part of a new construction project. And it's pretty common that we would need additional easements. In this case, our team appraised the property and made an offer to the owner. We settled on the appraised amount, and it was a good and reasonable offer that was accepted upon the first offer by the owner. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Udi. All right, President Pro Tem Davis, any questions?
None for me on this item. Thank you for the report.
All right, Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you for your report. I don't have any questions either. Thank you.
All right, and then Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. Udi, nice to see you. Question, Udi, is this something we do often, or is it a special circumstance?
No, this is part of a 5.5-mile project, and typically sewers are installed in the public right-of-way, streets, sidewalks, etc. However, sometimes because of the nature of the topography or the layout of the streets, we have to go onto private property. And when we do, we have to acquire easements. So I would say that it's not unusual.
Okay, that's it for me. You did a good job on the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Commissioner Closa.
Thank you, President Good. No questions from me for Mr. Jimenez. I think he did a great job explaining what DAR is, considering we don't come across these that often with the board, but all that made sense, and I think appreciate you negotiating this for the city so that we can get this critical infrastructure in there. Thank you.
What does DAR stand for, Uri?
Difficult to access reaches.
Well, there we go. That makes sense. That's easier to say than this project. All right. Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Closer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Any concerns or objections, Vice President Garcia or Commissioner Villegas?
None for me.
All right. Hearing no objections, the item is adopted forthwith. Thank you very much, Uri.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Have a nice weekend. Thank you.
Too. Have a great weekend, okay? All right, folks. Next item is item number 4. This is task order solicitation number 29 and budget increase. Parsons Environment and Infrastructure Group, Inc., recommending that we authorize the city engineer to issue a revision for TOS number 29 to Parsons Environment and Infrastructure Group, Inc., increasing the budget authority from $148,590 to $423,690 for continued support services with a request for proposals and contract negotiation process for the sidewalk and transit amenities program. I see Lance Oishi is with us. Dr. Campos, did we lose Commissioner Villegas?
Let me do a quick search for her name. We may have. Yes, we did.
Huh.
Hopefully she'll come back momentarily.
Yeah.
Typically does within a minute or two.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Yep.
There we go. Because I know she'd certainly also want to hear this item.
Sorry about that. My computer, I saw it dying in the middle of last presentation, and I am by myself, so I had a problem. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So we're on item number 4. This is TOS number 29 and budget increase, Parsons Environment and Infrastructure Group. All right, Mr. Oishi, good afternoon. Why don't you jump right in?
Good afternoon, everybody. Lance Oishi with the Bureau of Services. I'm here this afternoon to ask the board to authorize the city engineer to issue a revision of task order solicitation number 29 to Parsons, again, to increase the budget authority from $148,590 to $423,690 to allow them to continue to work with us on our street, sidewalk, and transit amenities program. And the reason why we're making this request is, when we originally hired Parsons and their consultant, Gobies, it was back in the beginning of 2019. And at that time, we had a specific set of tasks that we had before us. And, the original task required Parsons and Gobies to do 5 different things. And one was to value the outdoor advertising market on our behalf, analyze a best-in-class program possibility, provide us with a list of market providers in outdoor advertising that we could possibly enter into contracts with and discuss, help us develop ongoing program management practices, and then development of an RFP. And when we entered into this in early 2019, we thought that process would take about 12 to 15 months. And so, we planned accordingly for that. But a few things happened along the way, namely in November of 2019, so almost 8 months after we started working with Parsons and Gobies, we were provided with instructions from the City Council to seek an RFP that had expanded capabilities to the sidewalk and transit amenities program. And they really wanted us to pursue different business models, to look at different type of financing structures, to look for expanded advertising opportunities, to identify different funding alternatives, And so the whole process kind of slowed down. And, you know, when we had to do a lot of extra studies, and then COVID hit us. And that really kind of threw our whole program sideways. So despite the challenges of COVID, we've continued to work on that. We were able to issue our RFP this past November, but we anticipate it's going to take us till the end of 2021 to finish up that RFP process, negotiate a contract, and you know, complete that entire process. So that's why we're asking for this extension to the Parsons-Gobies contract and TOS Order 29, so that we can continue utilizing their services through the end of that contract negotiation and implementation phase. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Lance. Really appreciate that. President Pro Tem Davis, why don't you kick us off? If you got any questions?
I don't have any questions on this one. Thank you for the report.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Commissioner Colosa?
Thank you, President Good. Sorry, I'm still browsing your report here. Can you just confirm what the funding source is, since this is, you know, more than double the original amount that you came to board asking last year?
Sure. And, you know, part of our challenge was that we were trying to seek the funding to extend the contract, actually going back from probably April or June of last year, because we knew that this process was going to be extended. But it's taken us basically 9 months to come to the conclusion that we were able to utilize actually existing budget provisions within the city, within the Bureau's budget to cover this. So we are basically going to go ahead and again use different program monies that we have within the Bureau's budget to cover the costs of this the extended term with Gobies and Parsons.
So, am I hearing? So this is general funded monies.
Right. Right now, that's my belief. I don't have the exact details of that. I've really relied upon our financial management folks to help us identify that funding, and so I could come back, with you to actually confirm that with you at a later point. But I don't have that exact information in front of me right now.
Okay. So you're asking for an increase in the budget authority. It sounds like you guys have the money in place. And I know you talked about the additional work that council asked you all to do, but this is not an extension for the length of this TOS. Is that correct?
I'm sorry.
This is not, you're not requesting more time to complete the task in this TOS.
Yeah, the TOS itself didn't really have a time frame attached to it. Again, it's task oriented, so it's completion of the various tasks. And so, again, we imagined initially that it would take, 12 to 15 months to complete the original tasks. But again, because of these additional complexities that have kind of been added to our scope, we think that it's going to take us, again, till the end of this year to complete all the tasks, including the issuance of the RFP and contract negotiation and implementation.
Okay. So just so I'm understanding this correctly, the TOS that we issued last year had 5 tasks attached to it. Is that correct? Okay. Yes. And then so are we adding additional tasks to this, and that's what we're paying for?
We're expanding upon tasks, which really is the negotiation and completion of the RFP and contract negotiation. And then also the ongoing program management and, again, generating better ideas to better manage the program and move forward.
Okay. Maybe I can follow up with you after this so I can better understand what you're talking about. I mean, I understand essentially this is to supplement, Streets LA work on this, and this is, a lot to do for you all and a lot of turnaround time on top of everything else. So I fully understand that. I thought you did this all yourself, Mr. Oishi, so I'm confused why this is before us. So, but I'll follow up with you after this, Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosa. Vice President Garcia?
No questions for me. Thank you.
All right. And Commissioner Villegas?
Thank you. And I appreciate Commissioner Colosa's questions. I think I'm just going to try and see if I can clarify some of the work that Streets LA is doing and why it's gotten just a little bit complicated for the Bureau. The change that Streets LA is going through as a provider, and before I go on, I don't want to break any rules from Mr. Ted Jordan. If I could just provide some clarification outside of this, I mean, just to have context. I know that you're always like, chime in when I go off.
I think you're fine.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to.
Ted will let us know.
All right. Because he does chime in. All right. Well, anyways, I was just mentioning that, with the long-term contract that Streets LA had with JC2Co, it's coming to an end, and Streets LA needs to navigate that complicated piece in terms of having some equipment that we currently have, and so making sure that we are able to amortize all the equipment for the length of that life, and this is just street furniture that we have. That's one piece. The next piece is obviously Streets LA already launched the RFP to be able to get some solicitations and interest in this work over the next, I want to say that RFP is about 20 years. And so Parsons is helping them navigate that piece and navigate in terms of identifying, well, one, they were identifying what to include in the RFP, but also to be able to help them get the best financial return as they go through the RFP and seeing what is going to be best feasible for the city. And Lance, if you want to provide any additional context, I think that would be helpful. I just wanted to provide a little bit of background, for Commissioner Colosa, just because Parsons did have a scope with us, and because COVID just kind of stopped some of that work or slowed it down, we haven't gotten through all the tasks yet. And there's a lot of work that is currently being done, but we know that it's really complicated. And complicated, I don't want to leave you with that gray term, but complicated in the sense that it requires a lot of additional subtasks for them to be able to complete all of the work. Lance, if you wanted to provide any additional context.
Sure. When we initially brought upon Parsons and Gobies, basically, we were actually in a process of trying to seek an amendment with our current vendor, who's Outfront JC2Co. And so a lot of their work at that time went to advising us to create an amendment that allowed the city to have a relevant program that met all the city's needs, that was, again, competitive with other programs across the country. And really, that's why we brought the Parsons Gobies team on board, to provide us with that analysis of what's out there, what other cities are doing, what can we get, especially if we're going to issue a 10-year, possibly a 10-year amendment to the existing contract. And so that was what the original scope was really focused upon. The RFP development was something that was kind of added on as the fifth and last task. But again, that was only to be pursued if our amendment efforts with Outfront JC2Co did not yield us with, the desired results. And as it turns out, our discussions with Outfront JC2Co led us to the conclusion that it'd be better for us to cease trying to present an amendment with them and to go through an RFP process. But again, that decision wasn't actually made till November of 2019. Again, almost 7 or 8 months after we had started working with the Parsons team. And so from that point on is when we actually started really digging into the RFP process. And then in November, again, the City Council gave us specific directions for the new program. And one of those directions actually included pursuing an RFI process, which was completely different. But the RFI process itself was to help us inform the development of the RFP. And that RFI process itself took an additional 6 months. And so again, things like that, things like, again, studying different business models and the complexities of trying to find capital possibly for the city to participate in that are things that, again, drove the scope of work with Parsons to capture a wider segment of what the out-of-home industry market had to offer us and how we could possibly capture that and create a program that is appropriate for the city. Hopefully that provides a little more insight, but I'd be glad to answer additional questions.
And maybe just, provide a briefing, for the commissioner, just so that she has all of her questions answered. I think it would be helpful.
I can definitely
Mr. President, I have a couple of questions based upon the recent discussion. So I wanted to understand we have certainly a small increase from 148,000 to 423,000 that we are proposing in this motion for approval to Parsons. And in so, does Parsons prepare for us specifically what as it relates to the sidewalk and transit amenities program? Because that is the scope of the work that they are preparing for us for this increase of fees that we are asked to consider today. Is that correct?
That's correct. So the proposal itself, Parsons was key in helping us to draft up the proposal and provide a lot of inclusions and technical information that we would not have otherwise been able to include in our proposal, just because we're not experts in that out-of-home advertising market. And moving forward, there's a lot of technological changes that we discovered through that RFI process that we know the city is not necessarily ready for. And one of the directions that we got from council actually was to pursue policy decisions that the council would have to consider in order to facilitate this new program. So again, the Parsons team, that's another thing that the Parsons team is helping us out with, is to look into these policy issues that we may have to recommend to the council. And just as an example, the big change that has happened since our initial contract with Outfront Co. was let back in 2001 is the development of digital advertising. And digital advertising that is able to also possibly collect data. And so these questions that surround data collection, the use of digital displays, these are all things that are, again, brand new to us. And so we need that expertise and guidance from, again, experiences in other markets to help us develop those policies that we are aligned with what the rest of the world is doing. And
so basically there are some additional tasks that are being imposed upon Parsons that obviously come from, one, the city council, and two, from our understanding about the additional things that we need, such as a better understanding of the implications of digital work on the request that's being made here. So what I think I'm unclear about is that there was another firm mentioned in your earlier discussion with Commissioner Caloza. So was there another firm that was doing some of this work before Parsons came to the table?
I'm sorry, yes. So Parsons is actually working with a subconsultant called John Gobies and Company. And back in 2018, when we were still in that amendment negotiation phase, we actually started looking around and seeking out, people that could possibly help us to verify the market value of the Los Angeles advertising market, because these are some of the questions that were being posed to us at that time. How do we know that we're getting a really fantastic program if we don't know what the true market value of the city of Los Angeles is from an advertising perspective? And in our research for that, we found out that it's a very highly specialized field, and there are very, very few people that do that type of work. We contacted one person that works out of Phoenix, Arizona, another person that actually ended up being in Europe and specializing in European outdoor advertising programs. And then we were able to also contact Gobies & Co. And Gobies actually does this type of work all across the United States. They have consulted with many, many different municipalities and government entities within the United States. and they really do specialize not only in the larger advertising markets, but actually in street furniture, which is what we are really interested in. And so when we issued the original task order solicitation, most of the firms that we have on our pre-qualified on-call contracting list do not have that expertise in-house either. And so Parsons was able to retain Gobies & Co., quite honestly, to provide that expertise. And it's one of the reasons why we selected them as part of that, the issuance of that TOS. And so they...
Okay, so now I need some clarity.
Sure.
You are explaining to me this firm that we had prior to Parsons. Is that correct?
No, we did not have a contract relationship with them at all. We were just, again...
Did we pay them any money? No. So this is a group that we only talked about in 2018. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So we came to the board and talked about the potential of this group, but it never did see fruition. It never occurred. Is that correct?
So we did not specifically talk about this particular consultant with the board. In 2018, we were talking about our discussions with Outfront Deco primarily, and the amendments that we were trying to seek with them. Again, this is just our discussions with the Gobies & Co. were, again, to hopefully help us provide the information that we were being asked by a lot of different parties, again, about the market value.
So you had a discussion with the board about Gobies & Co. or whatever the correct name is. Is that correct? I'm trying to narrow down the area of confusion here. So you had a conversation with someone on the board about that process of discussion with this other company that we did not hire. Is that correct?
We did not have any discussion with the Board of Public Works about Gobies & Co. prior to the retention of Parsons.
Okay, so basically then, the Board of Public Works should only know about Parsons because this is the only thing that you brought to us.
Right, and again, Gobies is a subconsultant to Parsons, so...
Okay, so they still are, even though we are now considering Parsons, this company is now a subcontractor with Parsons.
That's correct.
And they are providing what tasks specifically that Parsons can't provide?
Again, they're providing the expertise in the out-of-home industry, advertising industry, and that is the field of expertise that we are, we needed assistance with.
As it relates to measuring the effectiveness of the digital world, whose task is that to perform? Is it the subcontractor or is it Parsons?
The subcontractor is doing a majority of the work. And
that means Parsons, is that correct?
That's correct, Parsons.
So Parsons will measure for us the effectiveness of the digital work that you mentioned a few minutes ago.
Right.
And then Parsons will further also measure the policy implications of this work that's being requested as a result of our conversation with City Council.
That's correct.
Okay. And in terms of the cost of $148,000 that you initially proposed, that was proposed with the understanding of what? The $148,000 initially.
That Parsons would primarily be assisting us with our negotiations of an amendment with Outfront Deco.
And then we discovered after that these other things occurred. Conversation with council, a need for an assessment of the impact of digital. And so those are the reasons for the expansion from 148 to 423,000 as a result of those occurrences after we had already assessed 148 initially. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so when we look at the process that we go through before we present, is there something in the process and procedures that we normally do that could have given us an opportunity to assess earlier on that the cost would be $423,000? Could we have had some conversation with City Council, and could we have, through our process, discovered that we would need more information on the impact, the effectiveness of digital, and an assessment there? Could we have determined this prior to us discovering it today? When we were putting together the proposal for the $148,000, Was there a process and procedure that we use in the Bureau that would have allowed us to discover this at that point in time as opposed to now?
You know, I guess the best way to put this is that we've been, it's been a process, and it's been kind of like peeling back layers of the onion, so to speak. And as things have become revealed to us, we've been trying to address them as they've arisen. Could we have come to the board to discuss this prior? Probably we could have. I know that we've gone back and forth again with the Public Works Committee and the City Council on this, and so I think at those points, which again we've gone back and forth with the council a couple times since the TOS was released, that we would hope that the board was informed. But you know, again, part of the reasons why we're here today is because we're really trying to ensure that we had the funding available to allow us to move forward with proposing an amendment before we came to the board.
Yeah, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with you being here today. I just want to better understand the process and the procedures. And my question wouldn't be whether you come here today. My question to you would have been, could you have talked to the council earlier? Could we have assessed the need to measure the effectiveness of digital and its implication earlier before coming to the board? I have absolutely no problem whatsoever with you coming to the board, nor do I have a problem with you asking for the additional money. What I had a concern about is, in implementing our process and procedure, could we have assessed this much earlier? That would have been my concern.
You know, I don't think so. Again, because as information became available, we would bring that forward as soon as possible. And again, a lot of this information is things that we've uncovered as we've been trying to write up and develop the proposal.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. All right. So everyone's had a chance to ask questions. Do I have a... And look, I would just echo and I asked you about this in the briefing, Lance, just to, you know, I get that this has been an iterative and really complex process, and the sort of the scope of the work has been fluid, and I do think that that's I think that that's very true, and this is unbelievably complex. I would also echo Dr. Davis's point that, you know, it is important to get to us quick or early, and maybe earlier in the process would have been better, at least just so we're aware. But I do understand that this is a really again, dynamic process with Parsons and or with this project, which is obviously huge, and it's an enormous priority for the city. So with that, do I have a motion to move this forward?
So move.
All right. And I'll have a motion from President Pro Tem Davis, seconded by Commissioner Villegas. This will be subject to the mayor's cost containment process. So, Dr. Davis, it's a motion as amended, subject to the mayor's cost containment process. Is that, you comfortable with that?
Yes, sir. That is the motion.
Cool. All right. Any concerns or objections, Commissioner Colosso?
No, thank you.
All right. Commissioner or Vice President Garcia had to step away briefly. So, hearing no concerns or objections, the item as amended, subject to the mayor's cost containment process, is approved and adopted forthwith. Thank you very much, Lance.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right. You have a great day, okay? Have a great weekend.
Well, thank you.
Okay. What I'd like to do is let's take care of a few things before item 5, which I'd like Vice President Garcia to potentially be here for. Let's go to item number 7. Item number 7 is a contract award. This is Geronimo Concrete, Inc. Sidewalk Repair Program Package number 54. It's a rebid. Recommending the board, 1, declare Geronimo Concrete Inc. First low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder and award Geronimo a contract for this project for $1,628,602.40. 2, declare Los Angeles Apartment Corporation, DBA Escobar Construction to be non-responsive as discussed in this report. And 3, authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. Dr. Campos, do we have a speaker on the line for that? I know Geronimo's represented if needed, but I don't think we necessarily need to hear from them yet. Was there someone else on this specific item?
No one else, just Mr. Lopez from Geronimo, should your board have any questions.
Okay, great. And then Arson is here to present, or is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Hello, Arson. Why don't you go ahead and proceed? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you. My name is Arsen Voskerchian. I am with the Sidewalk Division of the Bureau of Engineering, and I'll be representing the Sidewalk Repair Program today on the report before you, which is for awarding a construction contract to Geronimo Concrete for the Sidewalk Repair Program Package number 54. This is a rebid. We had previously solicited bids from the pre-qualified on-call emergency geotech structural list. However, we have since then revised the scope of the work and have advertised it for open competitive bid. And this project consists of pedestrian facilities, or repair of pedestrian facilities, serving the city facilities, and will provide compliant access to people with mobility disabilities who encounter physical barriers such as broken sidewalks, missing curb ramps, or other barriers to accessibility. In the report, we have exhibit number 1, which is a representation of such a barrier to accessibility that will be addressed by this project. That exhibit is for the Figueroa Plaza Towers, which is at the corner of Fig and Diamond. The work for this project will be in Council Districts 1, 2, 8, 11, and 14. It will consist of sidewalk repairs and accessibility upgrades adjacent to 6 city facilities, one of which is the Figueroa Plaza, which is the most significant and largest of the sites. And we also have included the West LA Municipal Building as part of this project. And that will also be made, the repairs will be made using alternative materials at the West LA Municipal Building. This project will include the removal, adjustment, and construction of sidewalks, curb ramps, driveways, curb and gutter, trees, transitions, and other related elements. The alternative material that we'll be using at the West LA Municipal Building will be slag cement concrete, which is an alternative to conventional Portland cement concrete. And this is part of our alternative materials pilot program, which is part of the sidewalk repair program. The contract duration for this is 150 calendar days. The city engineer's estimate for this project was $1,758,056. The lowest bidder was Geronimo with $1,628,602.40, which is 7.36 below the city engineer's estimate. This project is subject to the Business Inclusion Program, and it was advertised with anticipated participation levels. However, Geronimo's bid included 54% for OBE only. They want to note that most of the work proposed by the OBE is for materials. I believe most of the field work will actually be done by self-performed by Geronimo. And one thing to mention is that we have worked with Geronimo in the past. They have worked on a small package with us. And so we are happy to see that they're moving on to a much larger project. Geronimo is certified as a SBE, MBE, and WBE. And although they're not certified as LBE as far as we know at this time, they are located locally in Montecito Heights. And so we're happy to see Geronimo taking on a much bigger project with a lot more complexities than the previous one we worked with them on. The project we worked on them with previously was successful. We had no concerns. And they have worked on one other project awarded by your board, but that was not part of the sidewalk repair program. And this project will be funded by the Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Program Special Fund and the funding has been confirmed by the Director of the Office of Accounting. And with that, I will conclude my report and be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Arson. Commissioner Villegas, why don't you kick us off?
I'm good. I appreciate your report, Arson. It was very thorough, as was the board letter. I don't have any questions.
Thank you.
Okay. President Pro Tem Davis?
Yeah, I wanted to thank you for the report, and I was first inquiring about this being a company that did the smaller sidewalks. I understand there are 2 sidewalk projects, one that's available that tends to have a practice of some of the bigger firms doing the sidewalk repair, and on the other hand, some of the smaller ones. And I did hear you say that this is a company that has been doing some of the smaller sidewalk work. Is that correct?
Yes, they have done one small package with us, which was completed in March of 2020.
Well, I am so pleased to hear that we are having some smaller projects continuing to be done. I think that this is where we can really make a difference in the community and to empower our small businesses in the city and our emerging businesses. And quite frankly, I'd like to see more of these come into the board. And finally, I will say that I also am pleased to know that the work that they have experienced with us was a stepping stone and a foundation upon which they can grow and develop. Oftentimes, we do business on an everyday basis where prime contractors who I advocate for because of what they can do to create opportunities for others. But I don't see the same level of growth and attention and motivation on our behalf that is putting an economic shot in the arm at small and emerging businesses in the way that I see us doing it on the top end. And so it is time for a paradigm shift. That means to take the same level of energy and motivation that we have in doing routine business and sharing that energy at the bottom of the barrel with our small and emerging businesses. And for me, this is an example of that, and I'd like to see more of it. So to that end, thank you so much for presenting this, and I hope that, again, that we can have more of these. Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Colosa?
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any questions for Arson. I think he did a great job with his report and sharing the highlights for this specific package. There's a lot of them, as we just heard. I think that, the transition that BOE did for the sidewalk repair program from going from the on-call geotech emergency list to going now to this open competitive process has really allowed us the opportunity to open these doors. And so we're going to see more of these, I'm sure of it. And so I think this is a really great example to Dr. Davis's point, where we see a contractor building capacity to take on some of these larger projects. And so I know this is something that we've worked on extensively behind the scenes in terms of making sure that technical assistance is there for these contractors as they take on these larger projects. So I just want to say that, and thank you, Arson, again for your work on this, and BCA as well for providing that technical expertise to contractors who are moving on to other projects. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing more of these as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arson. Yeah, I agree. This is great when we continue to build folks into the program, as it were. So I have no further questions. This item would be subject to the mayor's cost containment process.
Mr. President, we actually did receive approval from the mayor today, hot off the press, and this item has been approved by the mayor as of today. So we will enter that into the record. We will note that into the journal. So no amendment is required on this item.
Sure. I'm sure that makes you happy, Arson.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm just going to straight up, I'll entertain a motion to move this forward.
Move.
No, second.
Right, so President Pro Tem Davis is moving to approve the item, and with Commissioner Close as a second. Do I have any concerns or objections, Commissioner Villegas?
None for me, thank you.
All right, hearing none, the item is adopted as is forthwith. Thank you very much, Arson. Thanks for flagging, Dr. Campos.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to item number 8. I think I see Larry Shue there. Hello, Larry.
Hello.
So, item number 8, colleagues, is street closure, Metro West Side Purple Line Extension Project, Section 2, Constellation Boulevard between Century Park East and Avenue of the Stars. Recommending the board, 1, find that the board has reviewed and considered the information in the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority West Side Purple Line Extension Project, Section 2, Draft Environmental Impact Statement, Environmental Impact Report, and the project final EIS/EIR. 2, find under the California Public Resources Code, Section 21166, and the California Environmental Quality Act guidelines, Section 15162, on the basis of substantial evidence contained in the whole record that since certification of the EIS/EIR, there have been no changes with respect to the circumstances under which the temporary street closure being undertaken would require a subsequent EIR or supplemental EIR. 3, adopt the March 2012 Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Program, Appendix 1 of the final EIS/EIR, prepared by the Metro as it pertains to construction projects. 4, find under CEQA Guidelines Section 15091 that changes have been incorporated into the project which substantially lessens the significant environmental effects as identified in the EIS/EIR. Further, find that there is no feasible alternative or additional feasible mitigation measures within the board's powers that would substantially lessen any significant effect the project would have on the environment. 5, adopt the attached CEQA findings of fact and statement of overriding considerations as it pertains to the temporary street closure, and find that the economic, social, technological, and other benefits of the project outweigh its significant and unavoidable impacts. 6, specify that the Metro Transit Division of the Bureau of Engineering, located at 1149 South Broadway, the board located at 200 North Spring Street, and other relevant City of Los Angeles departments are custodians of the documents or other material which constitute the record of the proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. And 7, approve the request to temporarily close Constellation Boulevard from Century Park East to Avenue of the Stars for 3 months, beginning February 23, 2021, and ending May 24, 2021. So, Mr. Shue, I see we have Mr. McKenna also with us from Metro. Larry, why don't you go ahead and give us the presentation?
Sure. Thank you, President Good. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Larry Shue with the Bureau of Engineering, Metro Transit Division. As a reminder, this is Metro's West Side Purple Line Extension, which is divided into 3 sections. Section 2 is the 2.59-mile subway alignment between the Wilshire La Cienega station, which is being constructed as part of Purple Line 1, within the city of Beverly Hills, to Century City, which is in the city of Los Angeles. The Purple Line Extension Section 2 project is scheduled to be completed in the fall of 2025. On July 31st, 2020, the Board of Public Works approved a 7-month closure of Constellation Boulevard between Avenue of the Stars and Century Park East, from July 24th, 2020 to February 23rd, 2021, to facilitate tunnel boring machine mining operations. Metro and its contractor, Tutor Perini Corporation and O&G Industries, TPOG, are requesting a 3-month extension of the existing closure on Constellation Boulevard from February 23rd, 2021 to May 24th, 2021. The work to be performed during the street closure is unchanged from the previous request. The extension is needed due to delays associated with removing an abandoned oil well within the city of Beverly Hills within the tunnel alignment, which has delayed the TBM mining operations. All major submittals for the work to be performed during this closure have been approved. And there are currently 4 pending notices of noncompliance issued by the Bureau of Contract Administration for this project. Condition of approval number 7 refers to notice of noncompliance number 3, which relates to needed corrections to a temporary sewer. And we are asking that the project team to resolve this issue during this closure extension. As part of this request, California Environmental Quality Act memo was completed to analyze the additional traffic impacts of the street closure. The memo concludes that this street closure extension would not result in any new significant environmental impacts or in an increase in the severity of impacts from the previous closure. Metro stated they have provided advance notice and performed mitigations for construction impacts in the Century City neighborhood in advance of project construction activities. Council District 5 has communicated its support for the peak hour exemption associated with this closure. And the LAPD noise variance permits for the construction were approved through July 26, 2021. That concludes my report. We have representatives from Metro, TPOG, Department of Transportation, and BOE on the line to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hsu. President Pro Tem Davis, any questions?
So we obviously have the support of the council office on this motion, correct?
Correct.
Hsu?
Council District 5.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Commissioner Villegas.
I'm good, thank you.
All right, and Commissioner Coloso?
Thank you, President Good. Thank you for your report, Mr. Hsu. Hi, Mr. McKenna. Nice to see you again. Happy Friday. I just have a few questions for you. I know that there's some impacted tenants near where this closure is. Can you speak a little bit to whether or not they support this closure? And I could have sworn, and maybe this is something that I may be misremembering, but was there a commitment to reopen by now? I'm not sure. I'm trying not to confuse this part of your project on section 2, but I could have sworn I remembered a promise to them to reopen by now.
Right, so we did have a promise, Commissioner, to open the closure between the launch box area and Avenue of the Stars by early January, and we met that commitment. So right now, the Century Park property, the 2 triangular-shaped high-rise towers on Constellation Boulevard, have full access to their driveway on Constellation during the week. On weekends, there's a weekend closure, so they only have access to their driveway on Olympic, but they do have full access to their property 24 hours a day, 7 days a week during our work.
And so they're okay with this extension?
They are the one property owner that did not object or support this. We spoke with them. They understand the need for the extension related to the delay that we had with the oil wells in Beverly Hills. There were actually 2 oil wells, one right across the property line that was located underneath one of the portable classrooms, and another one on the other side of building B1. So they haven't opposed the request, but they were unwilling at this time to support it in writing like they have in previous requests.
And just kind of maybe dig a little bit deeper, not necessarily on their support of this project, but obviously I know this is you're also dependent on another agency, right, Beverly Hills, to help you with this oil well issue. How certain is Metro that this is enough time to actually get the assistance that you need from Beverly Hills to actually address the oil well issue? I also know that this is something that you've known about for some time now, right? So,
I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was going to say that's a good question on the certainty of this, because when the board report was written, we hadn't started tunneling again with the second tunnel boring machine, or we hadn't resumed tunneling, but we did resume tunneling on February 9th. We're about, I wrote this down before the meeting, they've excavated about 240 feet of tunnel,
from the access shaft since we resumed on February 9th. So we're almost at the halfway point for where we need the tunnel boring machine to get to stop, so they can transition all of the support equipment from the area within the closure over to the access shaft that's outside of the public right-of-way on a staging yard that we control. So we're certain that the oil wells have been abandoned, and the agency that oversaw that work for the school district is CalGEM, the California Geologic Energy Management Division. And so they've certified the abandonment of both of the oil wells. And so there's no additional coordination that's required with CalGEM or with the school district for us to proceed. So we're moving forward. We did ask for 3 months with some contingency in that. So we're hopeful that we can open a month earlier than the 3-month request. We're looking at this as a not to exceed amount. We know that there have been numerous closures or requests for this closure in the past, so we didn't want to have to come back to you again and ask one more time. We're also dealing with COVID like everybody else is, and I think I mentioned in one of our previous meetings, I think it was our quarterly update in December, when we sort of forecast to you that we may be coming back in February to ask for a brief extension to this closure. The contractor did have a rough time in December and January with COVID. Fortunately, things have been slowing down in the month of February. So we're hopeful that there won't be any COVID-related impacts going forward. But as soon as tunneling is far enough out beyond the access shaft, and if you're familiar with the area, the machine needs to make it to the other side of the buildings on the high school underneath the tennis courts so that they can start moving the equipment from the closure area to the staging yard. And we anticipate at this point, as of today, we anticipate that'll happen in early March. And then we'll need about a month to decommission things at the staging area in the street within the closure and restore traffic in the street. So if everything goes perfectly, we could open a month early. If we do have a couple of hiccups along the way, you know, we may end up needing some of that contingency that's built into this request.
Okay. And I appreciate you explaining that and talking a little bit about the contingency that you added to this closure. You know, I just hate moving the target for stakeholders in the impacted area. And I know that's tough on you and your team too, that you have to go back and update them on when they can actually have access to their street again. And just kind of a last question for me, can you just kind of briefly talk a little bit about these pending notices of non-conformance that BCA issued? I know there's some detail here already in the board report, but if there's anything in addition that you wanted to add, just so as we're considering this extension of the street closure, that we know that these will be closed out, you know, in good faith as well.
They will be closed out in good faith. Our staff have been working very collaboratively with Mr. Shu's staff, and there's actually a solution that's ready to be implemented for the NNC that Mr. Shu mentioned regarding this clean out location for a deep sewer. The sewers in Century City, at least this end of Century City over by Century Park East, are fairly deep. They're down 25, 30 feet. So the solution that we've come up with will require a little bit of excavation just west of the launch box area in this closure area. So you do have our word that these NNCs will be resolved. I've had numerous conversations with Mr. Shu about how we work with our contractor to resolve open, well, we call them NCRs, they call them NNCs, but essentially the same thing, non-conforming work that needs to be repaired or done correctly, either to a metro standard or a city standard. This one, with it being in a city right of way, it has to be repaired in accordance with the city standard. So we're working very closely with Mr. Shu's staff. And Larry, I don't know if there's anything you want to say about this too. This is a joint effort solving this.
Right. Thanks, Mike. Yes, I can just confirm Mike's team and Mike himself has been working with us on this. We are just waiting for the actual implementation. We want to see it constructed, and then we can close out these issues.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. McKenna, for the additional detail and justification on all of that. That was very helpful to outline. And think CalGEM was formerly known as Dogger, if I remember correctly, where Mr. Intuck is now, who we had here at the Public Works Department shortly. And then I see Ms. Lake on. I'm not sure if you wanted to add anything else. I wanted to give you the opportunity.
Well, I just wanted to mention that since this closure has been implemented from the very beginning, we have actually not received any complaints from businesses or residents in the area. So I think that's worth noting. And we've worked very closely with the businesses that are immediately adjacent, and those who qualify have been granted the Business Interruption Fund grants since we began construction. So wherever we can help, we have been helping, and I think that it has boded very well in the community overall.
I appreciate that. I don't have any further questions. I appreciate the additional explanation from the Metro team and Mr. Hsu. Thank you, President Good.
Thank you, and thanks, Mike, and thanks, Ms. Lake, for joining as well. I don't really have any questions. Everything pretty much got covered. This is clearly, and I appreciate the contingency time. I think that's smart. This is complex, and I think that's good for y'all and good for us. So with that, do I have a motion to move forward?
I'll move.
Thank you for the motion, Commissioner Closa. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by President Pro Tem Davis. Concerns or objections, Commissioner Villegas?
None from me, thank you.
All right, hearing no objections. The item number 8 is adopted and approved forthwith. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Have great weekends. Colleagues, I'd like to first take a 5-minute recess. We'll return at 3:04 in the PM. Okay?
3:04. Okay.
For those members from the public, the Board of Public Works is taking a 5-minute recess. We will reconvene at 3:04 p.m. Those members that are from the city family, if you remain on the line, the City Council audio line will remain open to the general public. Thank you. President Good, I am starting up the recording. Just let me get confirmation. And you are now in record mode. I can reestablish quorum when you are ready.
Yep, let's get going.
Great. It is 3:06 p.m. The Board of Public Works is reconvening its special meeting for Friday, February 19th. Establishing roll call, we have President Good, Vice President Pro Tem. Let me start again. President Good, we have President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Villegas and Caloza. President Good, you do have a quorum.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Campos. Colleagues, members of the public, let's move and start. Let's start with, let's go to item number 9. Item number 9 is an authority for expenditure. State Water Resources Control Board, Bureau of Sanitation, and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $45,807 for annual fees for wastewater discharge required by sections 13260 and 13269 of the California Water Code. If approved, this AFE would not be subject to the mayor's cost containment process. Who do we have here with us, Dr. Campos?
For item number 9, we have Mr. Vincent Tan.
Yes, sir. Here. Over here.
Hi, Mr. Tan. How you doing?
Good, sir. How are you?
Very good. Welcome. Good. Welcome, and the floor is yours.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vincent Tan of the Clean Water Conveyance Division. I'm here today to request for your approval for authority of expenditure in the amount of $45,807 for the payment for the wastewater discharge fees to the State Water Control Board. Payment for this for this fiscal year, July 1st, 20 to 6/30/21. These fees are for us to be able to maintain our 3 collection systems, namely the Hyperion, Terminal Island, and LA San. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Vincent. Commissioner Villegas, questions?
I don't have any questions. This is a yearly, fee that we just got to pay our bills. Yeah.
That's right. Okay, President Pro Tem Davis?
Oh, no questions for me on this item. Sorry about that.
Okay, thanks, no problem. Commissioner Close, any questions?
No questions for me. Thank you for your report, Mr. Tan.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, colleagues. I don't have any questions either. This is pretty cut and dry, as it were. So I will motion to move this AFE forward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Any concerns or objections or epiphanies, Commissioners Villegas or Colosa?
Aye.
Okay, hearing no objections, the item is adopted forthwith. Thank you very much, Mr. Tan. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, sir. Happy good week.
All right. Let's move now to item number 10. Item number 10 is an authority for expenditure, community partners or city plants. The Board of Public Works and Office of Accounting are requesting approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $150,000 to pay community partners for city plants for providing Department of Water and Power energy savings data management, sampling, and reporting tasks services as administrators for the tree planting initiative fiscal year 2019 and 2020 and fiscal year 2020-21 in accordance with the memorandum of understanding between the Board of Public Works and the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power dated August 13, 2019, authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute this agreement. I see Ms. O'Leary with us from City Plants. Will you be presenting?
Actually, hi, President Good. Norman here with the Board of Public Works Financial Management Section. I will be presenting the Authority for Expenditure, and Rachel is here to address any questions you may have after the presentation is complete.
All right, Mr. Tanada, sorry about that. Please proceed.
No problem. Good afternoon, President Good, Board Commissioners, City Attorney, and Executive Officer. Again, my name is Norman Tanada with the Board of Public Works Financial Management Section. I am here to request approval of the Authority for Expenditure in the amount of $150,000 for payment of an invoice to community partners for city plants for energy savings data management, sampling, and reporting for the City Plants Initiative. On June 21, 2019, the Board approved a report from the Office of Community Beautification recommending approval of MOU between the Board and LADWP in the amount of $5.4 million for the continued funding and operation of the municipal tree planting efforts of the City Plants program in order to achieve energy efficiencies through tree planting efforts. On July 25, 2019, the Mayor authorized the President of the Board to sign this MOU. Task C3 of the scope of work described in the MOU is for energy savings data management, sampling, and reporting in the amount of $450,000. This authority for expenditure is requested to process the first installment payable to community partners for city plants for a total of $150,000. The second installment will be due at a future date along with $150 for computer software and technology. DWP has transferred this second installment payment of $1.3 million in June of 2020 in accordance with this MOU. Funding was received and is currently in the Public Works Trust Fund. Of that $1.3 million, $1,150,000 will be encumbered for tree planting services via LA Conservation Corps, and the remaining balance of $150,000 is available to pay for this invoice. This concludes my presentation, and again, both Rachel O'Leary and myself are available for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Norman. President Pro Tem Davis, why don't you kick us off?
Yes. What are the timelines on this item?
I believe the MOU is through June 30th, 2021.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's it for me.
Okay. Commissioner Colosa.
Thank you, President Good. Thank you, Mr. Tanada, for your report. I know we had an MOU with DWP on this, but I guess my question is more around the payments. Is there a reason why DWP couldn't pay community partners directly?
Good question, Commissioner Colosa. Again, the MOU was established approved by the board back in June of 2019. And as far as Dr. Campos, Rachel, do you have any insight on that as far as why?
Yeah, I can go respond to that, Mr. Tanada, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. Commissioner Colosa, great question. Just to give you a quick history, this is our second MOU with DWP, and we've been working with DWP for more than a decade now. The earlier MOUs authorized the Board of Public Works at its discretion to identify who can provide the services, whether it would be in-source staffer with the Bureau of Street Services, or if we consulted out or contracted out the work. When we partnered with city plants or community partners more than a decade ago, they were a perfect partner and a perfect alignment for us to partner with them. So the Board of Public Works, the then Board of Public Works, about 10 years ago, decided to go into partnership with community partners to do this work. Therefore, the MOU was between the two city departments, DWP and the Board of Public Works. It was not a MOU between DWP and a consultant per se. So therefore, this model that we're currently using is considered more of a pass-through, if you will, but it is the discretion of the Board of Public Works to hire or consult out the services, in this case with community partners.
I see, okay. So it was kind of left up to the board, and so was this work performed previously sometimes by the Bureau of Street Services, or at least that was an option, I guess, depending on...
It was always, great question. It was always an option. It was never performed by the Bureau of Street Services. It was just an option for the board, the then board, to consider whether we insourced it or outsourced it. Community partners became more and more of a permanent partner for us in the arrangements with DWP for this project. So therefore, this MOU, the 2019 to 2021 MOU version, clearly defines which partner we would contract with, and that is LACC and community partners. The payment before you, or the AFE before you, is the payment to the community partners. We do transfer about $1.1 million per payment to the Los Angeles Conservation Corps, which does the bulk of the work. The portion that's before you today is just for the work that community partners or city plants is doing in terms of monitoring the program and also being able to collect the data that's needed to report back to DWP for its metrics.
Okay.
And Rachel O'Leary is on the line if you want to ask any questions regarding the actual details of the monitoring and the data metrics.
Okay.
Yeah, happy to answer any questions. Thanks, Fernando.
Okay. I appreciate that. I was just wondering, I know we have MOUs with departments all the time. So it was just more of a processing question to me about why DWP wouldn't be paying city plants directly. But maybe just while we have you, Ms. O'Leary, it would just be great to just hear a brief update from you about progress of the program thus far. I know this has been a community program that a lot of people are really excited about, especially as more people are at home doing more gardening, doing more planting. So just if you can give us a brief update on where you are right now with the program, that would be really great.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do so. Thanks for that observation. It's entirely true. We found the program's popularity increasing during COVID while people are at home looking at their gardens and trees and nature in a whole new way. Really pleased to share with you all, again, Rachel O'Leary here with City Plants Program Director, some of the advancements as a program that City Plants has made in 2020 and now in 2021. We did adapt our program model to fit COVID with curbside tree pickups. So we're still giving out and distributing free trees to Angelinos to plant on private property and in streets. And we've adapted our model to a curbside pickup and no contact distribution model, which has been rolled out and very successful after a few months of trial and error. Also pleased to share that we've actually, in 2020, we started our own nursery where we are starting to grow our own trees for the program at our site in Griffith Park at our Commonwealth Nursery, which I think will have really interesting implications for the potential to collect local seed and grow trees that are native to this area to distribute to Angelenos in the program. We've recently kicked off a Growing Vibrant LA Communities webinar series in partnership with Streets LA to engage Angelenos around issues around urban forestry. So continuing that public engagement around trees and in coordination with the City Forest Officer, of course. And this year, in 2021, our program has actually grown quite significantly. We recently onboarded 4 Climate Action Corps fellows from the state who are with us full-time through a program started by the Governor's Office, California Volunteers. So we've got some additional resources and help, and 4 really gung-ho and exciting individuals who are supporting community outreach in this program. And in terms of data management, we've been able to work with Streets LA and the City Forest Officer to begin launching a bridge between our street tree plantings and the city's citywide inventory through Davy Tree Keeper. So we're on board to start tracking our street trees and have those mapped in a really consistent and holistic way with the city as well.
Great. Thank you, Ms. O'Leary. And then for people who are looking at this and wondering how they can get a free street tree, would they just, the best way to access you and your team would be through your website, is that correct?
Yeah, cityplants.org. You can find all of the applications for free trees there.
Okay, great. I know that there's some people in public comment that might be interested in hearing about this, but I don't have any further questions. That was really helpful background from everybody. Thank you, President Good.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Coloso. Commissioner Villegas.
I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to also comment that this effort has also been able to bring the Grow and Vibrant LA communities, doing them all virtually in Spanish as well. So I think we've also captured another audience and had many multilingual staff participate, and I think it's really spread our outreach far and wide. So I don't have any questions in particular to what we are approving or what's before us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Norman, Rachel, just one question, and I apologize if you've answered this. What's the data gathering? Can you just unlock a little bit or unpack a little bit what it is that Community Partners is actually doing?
Yeah, I'm happy to chime in on that. I'd say it's invoicing. We receive monthly invoices for the program, so to certainly track number of trees planted for private property, street trees. We have a custom software that we're helping manage and create called Free Trees LA. It's the platform that Angelenos are prompted to visit when they order free trees for private property. So managing that software includes dealing with orders on the back end, making sure that the software is designed to fit program needs. So we're the City Plans as a staff has been coordinating a lot of that work in conjunction with the LA Conservation Corps. And now with the advent of Davy Tree Keeper, building a bridge to a city inventory platform that will better help the city as a whole track our trees that we plant. So City Plants is trees planted through the nonprofit systems will be counted toward the citywide inventory. So lots of coordinating for street tree and yard tree data, but then also in addition to tracking where trees are planted, how often, how many, receiving those invoices and making sure that they're good to go.
Very good. That's really helpful, Rachel. And so is this this 150K? Is this annual over the course of the grant? Because I know we haven't. I mean, obviously we have had this partnership with Community Partners for a long time. Is basically sort of like the fiscal agent, correct?
To my knowledge, yes. It's a annually done. It's a 2-year grant with DWP, and so each year there's an installment of $150,000 to support City Plans coordination.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. So, Dr. Campos, if the board approves, given that this is an annual basically fee, would this be subject to cost containment in your estimation?
It is. It's over the $100,000 threshold that the mayors authorized the general managers to approve, so this exceeds that dollar amount. I believe that it would go much faster simply because the MOU is the underlying obligation between the Board of Public Works and DWP, but nonetheless, it's still a payment to a third party. So I would recommend that the item be considered as amended, subject to the mayor's approval due to the cost containment.
So in contrast to, let's say, the State Water Resources or State Water Board, where we're talking about payment to a legal obligation to a public entity.
Right, and those are considered more fees. In this case, it's a payment for services to a consultant.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I get that. All right, Rachel.
Good
Sorry
try,
though. Norman. Thought might get there. But community partners understands, and I know they're great partners. So, all right. Thank you all. Do I have a motion to move this AFP forward?
So move.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis.
As amended.
As amended. Do I have a motion to move this? Goodness. Do I have a motion to move this item forward as amended, subject to the cost containment?
So moved as amended.
Thank you very much, President Pro Tem Davis, for being patient with my needing to repeat my own recommendations. I'll second. Any objections or concerns or epiphanies from Commissioners Close or Villegas?
None for me, thank you.
All right. Hearing no concerns, this AFP is adopted as amended, but adopted forthwith. So thank you very much, Ms. O'Leary. Thank you, Mr. Chinyata, and appreciate the presentation.
Thanks so much. Have a good weekend.
All right. Thanks, y'all. Okay, colleagues, let's go to item number 11. Item number 11 is change of funding sources, tiny home village projects. I'm recommending the board, the Bureau of Engineering is recommending the board authorize change of funding sources from the Homeless Housing Assistance and Prevention HAP funds to the Homeless Emergency Aid Program funds and the Coronavirus Relief funds. And two, authorize the Office of Accounting to disencumber funds related to what I always like to call HAP for all tiny home village projects. I didn't get any laughs for that. So Marina Quinones is with us today, and I think Mahmoud is lurking in the background, but
I think so.
Of course, Billy's gone.
Mr. President, you also have a caller on the line from the general public that would like to make commentary. Would you like to take that first before the presentation or after?
Yes, no, let's do, please. Thank you for the reminder, Dr. Campos. So yeah, let's take comment right now.
Great. Thank you, Mr. President. Caller ending in 682, caller ending in 682, Dr. Tom Williams. Can you please press *6 at this time? The Board of Public Works is considering item number 11. You'll be given 2 minutes to speak on this item.
Thank you. I will probably not need the full 2 minutes. We need to expand this program, but also you need to get this program online so that people will know that it exists and that how it's operating, because there's a lot of concerns right now. We would love to have all of them in CD14 in the LA 32 Neighborhood Council area. We need roughly 100. So please put the entire program online somewhere and provide it to the DUN. I have submitted written comments also. So please expand it, make it work, and get the people in shelter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Appreciate it. Ms. Quinones, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, President Good. Hello, Commissioners. So what the motion you have before you today is to authorize the change of funding sources for all 5 tiny home village projects that have been awarded. This is a request from the CAO, and I believe Claire from the CAO is online as well if you have specific questions for her. currently, the three main funding sources we've been using for the homeless projects is a HAP, which is the Homeless Housing Assistance and Prevention, which is the 62Y that you see in your chart. This fund expires June of 2025. The CRF, Coronavirus Relief Fund, 63M on the chart, expires December 31st of this year. And HEAP, which is Fund 100, expires June 2021. The previous board reports had HAP and CRF money. HAP was used because the previous CRF fund was due to expire December of 2020. And as we know, Congress extended the CARES Act, which allowed the CAO to retain about $47 million or so to use on homeless projects. So the CAO would like to utilize the funds according to their expiration date. And if you look at your chart, the top chart basically shows what we have awarded, and it's a combination of HAP and CRF. And the chart below is what we are proposing. So we are proposing to disencumber all HAP money because this can be used for more long-term projects and replace it with HEAP, which is expiring much sooner. And so that is all that I have. Again, Claire is also available for questions. I'll answer any if you have any.
Thank you, Marina. We'll open it up for questions. Commissioner Villegas.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
You're on mute, President Good.
Thank you. President Pro Tem Davis.
What is the timeline of the implementation of this?
That would be required to be now. There are contractors who are waiting for payment, especially for the Alexandria site that has been in construction.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. And Commissioner Closa.
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any question for Ms. Quinones. I think this makes sense, and I also just wanted to note that I appreciate Dr. Williams's public comment and support of the tiny home projects. I appreciate that. I know we have a page on previous iterations of our homelessness projects on a bridge home. I don't think we have one on tiny homes, I believe, but Marina, do you know? I was just trying to quickly look it up right now.
Yeah, we do not, but I will definitely take that to the team.
Yeah, so maybe that's something we can feature more on the BOE website. It just dawned on me that we did a really great job on the bridge home features online, but we haven't yet done anything on the pallet shelters and tiny homes. So thank you for that feedback, and we don't have anything else. Thank you, President Good.
Thank you, Commissioner Closa. I mean, thank you, and I think that's also definitely something to explore. In essence, this is an accounting step, a necessary accounting step to give ourselves more room before deadlines, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, all right. All right, I don't have any further questions. Y'all are doing great work on these projects. So I'll motion to move these forward, move this item forward. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I got 2 seconds. Commissioner Calosa and President Pro Tem Davis.
I think I was muted, but yes.
I saw you, though. I saw you. I'm always watching. And any objections or concerns, Commissioner Villegas?
None for me.
All right. So, Dr. Campos, I've got 2 seconds. Commissioner Calosa and President Pro Tem Davis, and hearing no objections, the item is adopted forthwith.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Quinones. Have a good weekend.
Thanks.
And if Mr. Karemzadeh is out there somewhere lurking, I hope you're having a good weekend too, or have a good weekend too. All right. Colleagues, let's move to item number 12. Item number 12 is in CD14. This is a bid date extension and revised budget, 7th Street Improvements Package 1. Recommending the board, 1, grant an extension of the bid date from March 2nd, 2021 to March 9th, 2021, and revise the city engineer's estimate from $6,682,770 to $5,986,170. And 2, advise all prospective bidders of the board's action by addendum. I believe Ms. Lamb is with us this afternoon to present on the item. And I hope, everybody's ready. Ms. Lamb, please proceed. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, President Good. Good afternoon. Winnie Lamb with Bureau of Engineering, Street Improvement Division. This item before you is for the 7th Street Streetscape Improvement Package 1. It advertised on January 15, 2021. The proposed project will transform 7th Street between Figueroa Street and San Pedro Street into a multimodal corridor that prioritizes the pedestrian, bicycle, and transit enhancement. The project would upgrade existing and construct new eastbound and westbound bicycle lanes located between Figueroa Street, San Pedro Street, with a protected cycle track. The bike lane are positioned adjacent to the curb with protected from raised median and transit platform. The construction includes new curb ramps, transit island, bus pads, corner islands, a new catch basin adjacent to raised cycle track, and striping and signal upgrade. The original city engineer estimate for project was $6,682,770. The estimated construction cost has been revised to $5,986,170 to account for the removal of scope of work at Broadway Street, which will be completed through a subsequent project. There was also a reduction of quantities, particularly for excavation and new base material. The project is scheduled to receive bid on March 2nd, 2021. Due to the revised quantities and scope of work, the general contractor will need additional time to update quotes from subcontractors and suppliers to prepare their bids. The extension would not significantly impact the project schedule and would allow the contractor more time to submit competitive bids. We request that the Board of Public Works grant an extension of the bid date from March 2nd, 2021 to March 9th, 2021, and revise the city engineer estimate from $6,682,770 to $5,986,170. We also request that the city engineer advise all prospective bidders of the board's action by addendum.
Thank you, Ms. Lamb. Commissioner Villegas, any questions on this item? By the way, we love items that come back for less money.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, we do. I just thank you, Ms. Lamb, for your thorough explanation. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. President Pro Tem Davis?
No questions for me on this item.
All right. And Commissioner Coloso?
No questions for me. Thank you, Ms. Lamb.
Okay. I don't have any questions. Your briefing was very clear when we met Ms. Lamb. So, this all makes sense. Do I have a motion to move this forward?
So moved.
All right. I think Commissioner Coloso got in there first this time. So I'll take Commissioner Coloso's motion, seconded by President Pro Tem Davis. Any objections, Commissioner Villegas?
None for me. Thank you.
All right. Hearing no objections, the item is adopted forthwith. Thank you very much, Ms. Lamb.
Thank you.
Okay. Colleagues, that brings us to item number 13. Item number 13 is specifications submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids. This is a project in CD1, CD2, 4, 5, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14, high voltage conversion Fed program unit 1, work order L2049449. Estimated cost of the project is $1,510,000. and the bids would be received on April 6th, 2021. Do I have a motion to,
Mr. President, sorry, I was trying to sneak in there really quick. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. Mr. President, we would like to make a friendly amendment to the bid receipt date to Wednesday, April 7th, 2021, as we start regularizing our meetings to those days. If this board can approve this item as amended, again, to make the receipt bid date as Wednesday, April 7th, 2021.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. That makes total sense. So I'll go ahead and motion. I'll make a motion to adopt and approve the item as amended with a new bid receipt date of April 7th, 2021. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Any concerns or objections, President Pro Tem Davis or Commissioner Colosa?
No objections from me.
Okay. I saw you shake your head, Commissioner Colosa. All right, great. So hearing no objections, the item is adopted forthwith, and the invitation for bids will go out. Thank you very much, Dr. Campos. Colleagues, go to item number 14, please. Item 14 is a release of stop payment notice for Robertson's. Robertson's is transmitting release of stop payment notice in the amount of $799.31 for furnishing ready-mix, concrete, rock, and/or sand materials in connection with the Secondary Sewer Renewal Program, SSRP, number 7 Broadway and Pico Boulevard project. The primary contractor for this project is Ramona Inc. Dr. Campos, we don't need anyone. There's no presentation on this, is there?
That is correct. No presentation. The request is just to release a stop notice.
All right. Do I have a motion to release this stop notice payment? Stop payment notice? All right. Got Commissioner Colosa with the motion, seconded by Dr. Davis. Any concerns, Commissioner Villegas?
None.
Hearing no concerns or objections, item number 14 is adopted and approved forthwith. That takes us, let's go back now to item number
5 and 6.
Yeah, 5 and 6. So we'll start with item 6. Item 6 is a contract acceptance, street lighting pole painting project unit 6. Recommending the board accept this contract and not assess CTG Construction Inc. DBA CT Georgiou Painting Company with a penalty in the amount of $3,621.28 for the unauthorized subcontractor substitution of one substitute OBE subcontractor for reasons indicated. Who is with us today?
We have Ms. Kimi Kawashima and also Ms. Linda McGlinchey on item number 6.
Hi, Ms. Kawashima, and hi, Ms. McGlinchey. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Kimi Kawashima with the Bureau of Contract Administration, Office of Contract Compliance. Our recommendation for this project is to not assess CTG Construction Inc. with a penalty in the amount of $3,621.28 for the unauthorized subcontractor substitution of one substitute OBE subcontractor. The issue on this project was that PPG Architectural Finishes Inc. was approved as a substitute for a bid-listed firm, Vista Paint Corporation, to perform paint and paint supplies work totaling $36,212.80. We verified that PPG only performed $31,609, and therefore CTG was assessed a penalty of $3,621.28, which is 10% of the firm's approved amount. CTG was notified of this and responded with an explanation that prompted further investigation, and during the course of our investigation, staff discovered that there was a significant delay from the time that the fieldwork was completed to the final acceptance of the project work. This delay resulted in the contractor having to perform rework for which they were not entitled to compensation. Therefore, taking their rework into consideration, staff recommends that the penalty in the amount of $3,621.28 not be assessed. All monies were released and there are no funds held for this project. This concludes my report, and I am happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Kawashima. Let's see here. Commissioner Villegas, do you have any questions or concerns?
I do not, no.
Okay, thank you. President Pro Tem Davis?
I have no questions.
All right, and Commissioner Colosa?
Thank you, President Good. I did have a lot of questions, but they were all answered in the briefing already. So I'm good for this item, and I appreciate the contractor's patience on closing this out. I know it's been a few years since they completed this work.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosa. Yeah, I don't have any questions either. I was fully briefed, and appreciate the presentation, Ms. Kawashima and Ms. McClinchy. So do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosa. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Villegas, any concern?
No, all good.
All right, hearing no concerns or objections, this contract acceptance is adopted forthwith. Thank you all very much for joining us and for your patience.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
You too. All right, colleagues, that brings us now to, let's go back to item number 5. I was holding in case Vice President Garcia was able to get back, because this is certainly a large item, but we will jump right in. So item number 5 is in CD6. It is a request for proposals, Advanced Water Purification Facility, Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant, recommending the board, 1, authorize the Director of the Bureau of Sanitation to direct and distribute the transmitted RFP to the established short list of qualified design-build entities for the design, construction, and performance validation of a 19 million gallons per day advanced water purification facility at the Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant. 2, evaluate the proposals and select the best qualified design-build entity whose final proposal is most advantageous to the city based on established evaluation criteria set forth in the RFP. 3, negotiate a contract with the selected design-build entity for the engineering phase of the project. And 4, return to the Board of Public Works for authority to award and execute the contract subject to Mayor and City Council approval. Who is with us on this item today?
Mr. President, we have Mr. Ryan Tija on the line for item number 6. We also have one member from the general public on item number, item number 5.
Okay. Let's hear public comment, and then we'll go to Mr. Tija.
Great. Caller ending in 682, I believe. Caller ending in 682, can you please press star 6 to unmute your microphone? You'll be given 2 minutes to speak on item number 5.
Dr. Clyde T. Williams, or Dr. Tom, for the Sierra Club Angeles Chapter Water Committee. It's about time that LA got caught up. I did my first indirect potable reuse in 1977 at the Monterey Bay Reclamation, and we irrigated edible crops for over a year without any viruses, etc. So I say you're about 40, 50 years behind the curve. So I'd highly recommend that you expand, or at least put in provisions to expand the flow to whatever the treatment plant can produce reliably. So I have done reverse osmosis, I've done IPR, I've done DPR, and might say I've been waiting a long time for you guys to finally get used to DPR eventually, but at least IPR from the city of Los Angeles. We need to have more DPR or IPR north of State Route 2 and State Route 110, because if it goes south of there in the groundwater, it will be contaminated, and it will go outside of the jurisdiction of DWP. So I'd highly recommend coordination with DWP for you guys to get the water into the ground at the treatment plant, but then for them to get the water out of the ground after it runs a mile or so, before it passes out of LA City jurisdiction in the adjudicated water basins down below SR2. There's also very high potential use for such water at the LA River developments. So please get a web page for this one and get it online so that people can see that we're at least trying to catch up. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. I feel like that was darn near positive feedback from Dr. Williams. Thank you, and all well taken. All right, Mr. Thia, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Happy Friday. My name is Ryan Thia. I'm the Assistant Division Manager with the Wastewater Engineering Services Division and Project Manager for this Advanced Water Purification Facility at Donaldson Tillman Water Reclamation Plant. Quick background information. This project aims to provide full advanced treatment of 19 million gallons per day of treated water from existing Donaldson Tillman Water Reclamation Plant. So this additional treatment, what we call full advanced treatment, will it's provided on top of a typical wastewater treatment process. So the full advanced treatment water will be pumped from Donaldson Tillman to Hanson Spreading Grounds to supplement local groundwater supply. So this technology will enable us to either spread it or inject, direct potable use, indirect potable use, depending on the future regulations. And I'm also glad to announce that this is a partnership project between LA Sanitation and LA Water and Power to replenish the local groundwater aquifer and reduce the reliance on imported water. With that, the Donaldson Tillman Advanced Water Purification Facility has been one of the goals under Mayor Garcetti's sustainability plan to reduce the 100% of all treated waste, to recycle the 100% of all treated wastewater by 2035. This project has been in the planning phase for the last 5 to 7 years, and we have conducted a lot of pilot studies and bench scale studies to get to where we're comfortable with moving forward to the design phase. Based on the scope and skill and our experience with another project at Hyperion Advanced Water Purification Facility, we believe the progressive design build approach will bring the best value to the city. In 2018 and 2019, city issued a request for qualification to allow the design build team to submit a statement of qualifications. LASN received 9 submittals. Out of the 9 submittals, we selected 4 of the best design build team to be invited to the next phase, which is the request for proposal for the project. So we are requesting from the Board of Public Works for authorization to advertise this RFP, evaluate and select the most qualified entity, negotiate a contract for the design portion of it, which includes engineering phase. And once we have a draft agreement in place, we'll return to the Board of Public Works to request for additional authorization to execute the contract with the selected team. So we hope to return to the board sometimes in June or July after we go through the evaluation process. From that point on, we'll progress into the design phase. The design phase is expected to be completed by spring 2023. We'll again return to the board to receive the additional authorization for construction and validation phases sometimes in summer 2023. So the planned construction completion date is somewhere around autumn of 2025, November 2025, which is around halfway point where we have our sustainability plan is going to be reassessed. So this is just a summary of the project, the contracting mechanism, and our path forward. So with that, that concludes my presentation, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ryan. Tiny little project we're looking at here. So let's open it up. President Pro Tem Davis.
In terms of any questions, I don't have any on this one.
All right. Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Coloso.
Thank you, President Good. Thank you, Ryan, for your presentation. I got to ask a lot of questions in the briefing already. I think one of the things that I just had a quick question on, when I appreciate obviously this project and it's moving forward in terms of meeting the mayor's and the city's goals around sustainability. So I think that's critically important. I know you guys are working on a really tight timeline considering the magnitude of this project. Could you just briefly remind me, I was just kind of going through the board report, why did we ended up reopening the RFQ process, I guess 2 years ago. Can you just briefly explain why we ended up doing that? Were we not as happy with the original respondents?
Yeah, thanks for that. That's a really good question. Initially, we had, I think, 7 proposals. Out of the 7, we selected 3 really strong candidates. But because we wanted to have additional talent pool in our going through the RFP process, we provided additional chance to the teams that didn't make the cut to either reform a new team or resubmit a new proposal. Also open it up to other sets of design build entities. So I believe that was the reason, why we opened the RFQ. At that time, before we opened the second round of RFQ, we only had 3 that, we believe will bring the best value to the city. But with the additional RFQ, we were able to add 1 more team, that makes it 4. So we have a pretty good, choice to pick from moving forward.
Okay. I was just curious what ended up happening there, so thank you for that additional explanation. And then the other question I had was just around the cost. I know the Program Review Committee originally approved a total construction budget of $451 million. I see what's before us here has an estimate of around $337 million. Can you just kind of explain the difference there between the budget that was approved and then the estimate here before us?
Correct. So the overall budget for Donald C. Tillman is a larger budget, $400-something million. That includes a few, I would say about a dozen other projects that needs to go in order for us to be able to put this advanced water purification facility. So Donald C. Tillman plant is pretty old. From an engineering standpoint, it was built more than 40 years ago. So there are a lot of structural upgrades that need to go in. We have to put in additional equalization structures that needs to stabilize the flow going into it. Right now, we're just taking as much as we can. The rest of the flow goes to Hyperion. But, as someone pointed out earlier, we want to be able to take the water as much as we can at Tillman, north of State Route 2, because that's where the groundwater is. So with that intention in mind, we want to fully utilize the plant capacity, which is designed for 80 MGD. Right now, we're just, getting about 35, 40 MGDs. So with all the other projects included, it could be up to $400 million. That's the program level cost. But for the project level cost, the construction of this AWPF alone is estimated to be about $271 million. That doesn't include the design cost. So that's, kind of like the cost breakdown between the program level and this project level. And if you add a few other projects that needs to go in, such as the electrical substations and immediate other projects that needs to go in, that will add up to about $300 million.
Maybe that's something worth clarifying. I think here it just says that the total construction budget was $451 million. I guess I assume that was like in relation to the specific project, not for any additional sub-projects that you mentioned here too, including some at Hyperion, it sounds like. But okay. Let's see here. I don't think I have any more questions for you at this time. I think you answered a good bulk of them during our briefing. So thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Commissioner Closa. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you, President Good. I appreciate the presentation. And I don't have any questions, but just the magnitude for this project, is consistent with the Mayor's Green New Deal, and with the operations that are going to be going on at Tillman, still doing the day-to-day operations there, and still doing this project, just like we will be doing undertaking over at Hyperion. So these are significant projects that will definitely change the way that we do our operations. But just wanted to point that out, just because it's a very big deal. All right, no questions for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any official questions, Ryan. I know that this has been an ongoing project. I know with Dr. Falke, what was her name? I know she retired, but she put in a lot of research and really started up this project. What, three years ago already now? So we wish her wherever she's at, because I know she retired. A lot of luck, but and congratulate her on this. But hopefully when this is all done and over, we can invite her back to see what we did. So
absolutely, I think it's Roshana Flecky. She has been the critical figure in getting this project to the point where I can take over and push to the finish line. But we still have a lot of work to do. So. We have our praises for her as well.
Good. Well, I hope we can invite her once we're all done and set.
Yes.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Ryan, quick question. Didn't we approved a PLA being added to this last week? Did we not, or was that? I know we did to a DCT project of significant scope.
Oh, yes. So, those are the projects that I just briefly mentioned about, the enabling projects for this project to get into reality. So we have to construct equalization basin project, which will equalize the flow and take additional project. We have to replace the gates and screw pumps. We have to upgrade our emergency backup power. So there were about maybe 5 or 6 projects that were packaged and that came to the board last week. So they are going into construction pretty much right away. By the time they finish construction, we'll begin the construction of this advanced water purification facility. So that's the timing and logic behind all the projects coming to the board about this time.
And is this on the PIPS list? Like, is so already subject to PLA, or would that need to be added?
It will be in the list, yes.
Oh, okay, it is. Okay, so it's already on the list of PLA projects under the master PLA.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Sure. Just it doesn't say that in the report. So, and the projects that are being done, which are separate from this, that will then make way for this project. Those are 2 different things. So, I just added the abundance of caution. I do think it should be made very clear whether or not this particular project, which is the progressive design build project of the actual water purification things, not all of the precursor projects. Whether this particular $400+ million project will have a PLA or not, because it's literally not mentioned in the board report.
Yeah, although I mean, Mr. Jordan, I don't really recall many of our reports actually articulating.
That's fine.
It's just on there, which makes me think that is because, and we can confirm this, and maybe Ryan, you could check this. I guess my presupposition is that if it's on, and I can't remember what PIPS stands for. Dr. Campos, do you remember?
I'm sure you're right. It's just the staff's response wasn't the unequivocal, yes, absolutely, 100%, this will be a PLA project. That I sort of thought your question elicited response.
Got it. No, I appreciate that. And Ryan, if you could do us a favor and check and just let us know, that would be great.
I'll follow up.
Okay, great. Because this would certainly qualify if it's not on the list. And I'm sure we would then see Mr. Monte from BCA coming to tell us about it. So this is a lot of good jobs for sure. So thank you, Ted, very much. And I don't have any other questions, more comment that this is really, really exciting. This will be an incredible project. Obviously, there's much to be done, but I would agree with Dr. Williams that this is it's about time, and we're out front. This is great. So, do I have I'll motion to move the item forward. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Any concerns or objections? Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, or Commissioner Colosa?
No concerns for me.
All right.
A quick question for Mr. Jordan, since it was brought up. So if we move forward with this item today and approve it, that doesn't prevent or preclude us from subsequently approving a PLA after the fact, right?
No. Firms will start preparing their proposals in response to the RFP. So I am assuming that a PLA, it's already clear in maybe the underlying documents that when proposers are putting together their proposals, they know that this will be a PLA project and will therefore take all of that into account. If for whatever reason it has to get added, that's complicated and it could make the proposal and RFP process and the contract negotiation process a lot more difficult. So we put this into the beginning when people are putting together their proposals, or in the case of other projects, their bids, specifically so that they take that into account when they prepare their bids or their proposals. Because there's certain things that they have to do, certain elements that they need to bring together when they do a project through a PLA, like jobs coordinators and things like that they aren't necessarily doing on a non-PLA project. So we put it in at the beginning, and we don't just haphazardly add it at the end when we're about ready to sign a contract. So I think there's plenty of time to look at that. And again, I think I'm more than likely being overly cautious here. I just didn't see it mentioned in the report. But a project of this magnitude typically does not go this far without it being identified as a PLA project. It isn't how we operate. I was responding more to the absence of any mention of it in the board report, because it could have been mentioned, and the less than 100% certainty I was gleaning out of the answer to President Good's question. The bottom line is it'll be a PLA project, I'm sure. It's just a matter of having people confirm that.
Good lawyers live with and counsel with extreme caution, Ted. So no umbrage taken with the query. Okay. That said, it's inconceivable to me that this is not a new project, and so I'm almost certain it's on the PIPS list, on that planning list, which would probably be why. I mean, I don't recall, and Dr. Campos confirm, and this is important. So let's tease this out a little bit. Dr. Campos, typically, I don't remember, most projects don't end up listing whether or not they're in the PLA unless it's a new item putting a new project on the PLA. I think it's presupposed that it's a part of it, that it's got the PLA attached if it's part of the PIPS list. Is that correct?
I believe that's my understanding as well, but I'm not 100% sure. I can look into the matter and report back to the board.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. I would agree with Mr. Jordan. It's inconceivable that this would not be subject to our master project labor agreement. And if it's not, I would be the first to motion to make it so. Dr. Campos, if you can double check and let us know, that'd be great.
Will do.
And thanks for flagging, Ted. Ryan, thank you for the presentation. So I will motion to move this item forward, and you guys can kick off the RFP. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Did we do this?
Yeah. Did we already do that?
Did we? Okay. Yeah, because I think
it was moved by Commissioner Good and Villegas seconded the motion.
Villegas can't take that second away from Villegas. All right. Any concerns, Calosa, Garcia, or Davis?
None for Davis.
None from.
All right. Fabulous. So the item is adopted. Hearing no objections, the item is adopted forthwith. Thank you very much, Ryan. Good luck.
Thank you. Nice weekend.
Go forth. All right. Thank you. All right. With that, I think that brings us to item number to our reports. So we'd be at item number 15. Mr. Young has been waiting patiently for us so that he can sing major upcoming street improvement projects for us. Good afternoon, Mr. Young.
Good afternoon, President Gibb, Commissioners and Bureau Representatives, and Executive Secretary. I'm James Young with Street Renewal Division. This information being provided to keep the public informed on upcoming resurfacing projects to minimize the impact on the community as well as the commuters. Streets LA would like to provide you with an update on all major upcoming street improvement projects. There's no major street projects scheduled in the Metro resurfacing region during the week of February 21st through to February 27th, 2021. However, we will provide you with an update of our 2021 pavement program. During the week of February 21st through the 27th, the Metro region will complete 11 projects for a total of 4.79 lane miles. There are no major projects scheduled in the Valley resurfacing region during the week of February 21st through the 27th. However, we will provide you an update for the 2021 program. During the week of February 21st through the 27th of 2021, the Valley region will complete 9 projects with a total of 4.7 lane miles. The press releases were broadcasted and notified and been issued. Streets LA will coordinate with council offices to assist on outreach to the stakeholders, and which will coordinate with Los Angeles City Department of Transportation for traffic control. This concludes my report.
Sorry, I was.
Almost made it.
I figured his dogs were barking.
Yeah.
Your report is very much appreciated. That's what Greg is going to say.
I thought I had. Hey, we're all good, all safe. Everybody's good.
Is that the board's mascot?
Yes.
Quickly becoming so. He's staring at the window, making sure the Amazon truck drove away. Very, very good. Very good. Thank you for keeping us safe. Okay. Sorry about that. Any questions for Mr. Young, colleagues? All right. Thank you, James. We appreciate it. Really appreciate the report. Have a great weekend, okay?
Have a great weekend also.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 16 is a report from the Office of Petroleum and Natural Gas Administration and Safety update. Is Erica with us?
Mr. President, Erica is not on the line today. Is her day off. Could we continue this item for 1 week till next Friday, February 26th, if this board is okay with that?
Absolutely. That is not a problem. That is not a problem at all. Yeah. So
we do have a caller on the line on item number 16, Mr. Tom Williams. Would you like to consider his commentary at this time?
Yes. Yes, let's do it. Go ahead, Dr. Williams.
Hello, Dr. Clyde Thomas Williams, speaking for the Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community, and the Office of Petroleum, Natural Gas Administration and Safety, such a long title, has done a great job. And the predecessor to Erica did a great job. One of the issues that has arisen, though, is Zemus has been used to locate all the wells, in addition to the well finder on the California State webpage. Having the location of wells, both, I might say, properly idled and properly plugged and abandoned, has an issue regarding future sales of those properties, as to the fact that the current owner must notify the future buyer as to the presence or absence of an oil well under their house. And there are many occasions throughout the city of LA where that is the problem. So I'd highly recommend that you have it reviewed by the city attorney, and to see, by having both the state and the city recognize the well locations, that imposes a burden on the current owners to notify future owners of its presence. There's a big problem there. I will be attending next Friday and give more comments at that time. One of the additional issues is funding. Funding for all of the well abandonment, proper well abandonment within the city of Los Angeles. Contact the LA County assessor and find out if the subsurface property ownerships and leasers are there, because they have financial responsibility.
2 minutes. Go ahead and please wrap it up.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams, or Dr. Williams. All right, colleagues, Dr. Campos, does that clear the decks?
Yes, it does.
All right, we got a lot of good work done today, ladies and gentlemen. So with that, we will adjourn, and the management team meeting will reconvene. Vice President Garcia will lead management today. I actually have to pull out, but I hope everyone will have a spectacular weekend. So thank you all very much. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy birthday, President Good.
Oh, happy birthday.
Oh,
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, y'all.
Happy birthday.
I appreciate it very much.
Too bad you can't go to your favorite steakhouse, but
no kidding, man.